And we're back. Thanks for joining us again on the Coruscant Knights podcast. We're happy to have you here. My name is Cooper, and alongside me, as always, is Mark
Hello there.
and Jack.
Good morning, everyone.
And we are gathered here today to talk about The Force Awakens.
That's right. We're finally in sequel territory.
That's right, we definitely are. We're continuing the rewatch series. We're getting towards the end, which is quite sad because I've really enjoyed this journey. Just a
Been
reminder,
an
do have
insight period.
socials on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and did I say Patreon? I can't remember.
Nope.
No, okay. Well,
Okay.
go follow us on Patreon. That would be greatly appreciated. Thanks to Ben and Nikita for their support.
And on YouTube, we have our weekly polls where you can interact with us. We ask questions every week and vote for your opinion and leave a comment down below.
That's right. It's been good fun doing that every week, and it's good to engage with the community, which is always good fun. Okay, we get into the nitty-gritty now, positives and negatives. Mark, do you want to start us
Mm.
off?
I'll start us off, yes. And
Good.
everybody knows I'm not the biggest fans of the sequels. However, I will say that this one I actually somewhat enjoy, and I think out of the three, it's the best. And personally, I'm gonna put that down to the fact that they just ripped off A New Hope, which was already a good story. But we can get into that later. As for the positives, I'll say that the visual effects are probably the most obvious one. I think the fact that Disney have all that money and all that technology, they can make it, just look great. I mean, look at this background I have here. The lightsabers look clean. Everything looks really nice. I thought the cinematography in the film actually was also surprisingly good. Like there were a lot of shots or, like aerial shots, and I was like, you know what, that actually does look pretty good, I gotta admit.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, the acting, we had some pretty good acting, and Jack will completely agree that Adam Driver was really good as Kylo Ren.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Mm-hmm.
never go wrong with Harrison Ford either. I thought actually Poe Dameron is actually a really good character as well.
Very underrated, I think, in my
Yeah, he's
opinion.
underrated. I feel like he's too much of a side character
It's not
for
talked about a
how.
lot when people talk about
Yeah, I feel like
sequels.
I feel like he's his side character, but he should be elevated into a main protagonist
Mhm.
position.
Well, I'll just say quickly, and I do agree that he is, but I'm kind of jumping the gun here. In two movies' time, in two movies' time, Poe Dameron has the second most amount of screen time.
Ooh,
Yeah.
thanks for the
So
hint for
he gets
for that
he
week's
gets a fair bit
quiz.
in number three of
Nice.
the
Uh,
Gen Rise.
I can't remember too much about that movie, but I think in this movie, I feel like could have done a lot more, or like been involved a lot more, because he's in the very start of the movie, and you're like, oh, this is a cool dude, you know. We're gonna see a lot of cool action and everything, but we don't really see him until a lot later on, actually. I think is it not even until the base at the end, back on the base.
He's
And in
in
the
the fight at
X-wing at
Takodana, yeah.
Takodana, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you say
Um,
Takodana? Takodana? Not that I think it
Takodana,
matters. Takodana. Okay, all right.
Takodana, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was I can't think of what else. I think that might have been all I had for
Well,
positives, honestly.
if you remember
Damn.
anything else, then you jump in because
Yeah.
I think that's what my kind of perspective would be on these three sequels. Because aside from like the most obvious ones, it's kind of hard to like specifically say it from in my opinion because it does feel a lot different to the other Star Wars movies, and I think
Hmm.
that's universally known. Even if you like it or don't like it, it's different to say the least. But I mean, Mark, if you're all good to,
Actually, I had one last thing I did remember, which as I was saying before we started recording, I think I don't know if it's a positive for Force Awakens or more of a negative for The Last Jedi, but I thought the ending of this film had a really good position, and I can see Cooper's face is already disagreeing with me. It had a great position for a good story, with Rey
mm,
handing Luke the old lightsaber back. We could
or
have
an old
seen
Jedi Master.
we could have seen the good old Luke that we all know and love, but then
Mm,
we all know how The Last Jedi started.
mm.
Not only did he throw away the lightsaber, but he threw away all opportunity for a good story.
That is a strong and powerful line, Mark. I respect it.
Thank you.
Dub. Okay.
1 week.
No,
1 week.
Cooper, unlucky, unlucky.
1 week. Next week will be the largest argument we've ever seen.
We're going to go for a few hours. We'll be in person for that one, guys. So don't worry about that. You get to see our
Get to see
body
some fist
language and
fights.
everything. Yeah. So to begin off my positives, I would actually like to mention, looking at your background, Mark, it's funny how they promote, and especially they did a lot with Finn with the blue lightsaber and Rey with
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's true.
because he holds it like a few times but gets absolutely destroyed, and obviously they don't go with that storyline of him really being a stormtrooper, ex-stormtrooper or ex-first order trooper into a Jedi. They tried to do as it kind of in Rise with maybe he's like kind of force sensitive, but then it's kind of like nowadays with Disney, everyone's got a bit of the force in them, and they're all a bit force sensitive, and no one's unique and original anymore. Anyway, positive with the movie, I thought it was okay storyline wise. But I mean, it would be better if it was a more original, but it followed legit the same plot points
Wait,
as
so
A
is
New
that a
Hope.
positive?
I said it's a positive for it being enjoyable to watch,
Okay.
but a negative in terms of being creative, which I'll mention later.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, Starkiller Base, it looks visually unreal. I think it's menacing, a lot more menacing in my opinion than the Death Star, because it just looks a bit more like, I don't know how to, this is gonna sound weird, but it looks more grounded in reality than it does than Death Star, which is just like a floating orb. Like this one, it's like, oh, it's like a planet which is a weapon kind of thing. I don't know. It just, you know how they call the Death Star a planet like killing weapon thing? This looks more like a planet killing weapon because it's a planet with weapon, you know.
Can we just quickly mention in this picture that is behind me, it looks like a Pokeball.
Yeah, true.
A little bit, yeah.
I think, yeah, with Mark saying about the visuals is, I mean, if the visuals weren't as good as the originals and prequels, then that would be
Concerning.
unreal. Is yeah, concerning on the amount of money, the amount of time and effort they put in. Obviously, it took how many years before between this one and Return? Anyway, so many years. I can't put a number on
This was 2015, so for 30, what? 30
it was
30?
2000 was it 2007 and 8? No.
Wait, do you mean this one?
Revenge?
Oh,
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge, yeah, technically Revenge is like only 10 under 10. Anyway, long time. We don't need to get a specific date. Anyway, I thought the characters of Kylo Ren and Poe, and I'll go to the extent of Snoke, even in this movie, if you're talking movie in particular, and Finn were really, really good. I thought they introduced new characters, I thought, in a strong way and powerful way, especially with Kylo at the village. I also thought Snoke gave an imposing, mysterious figure that you thought was going to be a lot like the Emperor, but obviously he was the Emperor in a way. I don't know. It's so weird anyway. That's why if I'm trying to look at it holistically in terms of a movie alone, I thought they were going to lead to something real cool, because
they had a lot of good, like, I don't know if you'd say opportunities, but good plot points for the future films to explore.
They did. They left it teased a lot. They basically played it safe, being the first Star Wars movie in a long time, and I get why they did that, and I thought it was a smart decision. But then obviously after it just blew it out the water, in my opinion.
I feel like another underrated character as well is General Hux. I actually really like this character.
He was alright in this. I mean, in my opinion, he's just a typical
bad guy.
He's like
Imperial officer sort of thing.
Yeah, he's typical. Nothing different, I guess, about him, which I guess they try to do later on, but did it different in another bad way, which they
in a way I think was not good.
Yeah, but to begin off, I loved Kylo Ren's design. I thought the character designs and costumes in this movie were done like really good. Like even Rey, she just looks really good in those kind of like, you know, desert-y kind of color robes. And then you got Finn wearing that leather jacket from Poe and becomes his iconic thing. So I just think, and also a lot of people I remember a lot of people criticizing about Kylo Ren's mask being similar to Darth Vader, but that's literally the whole point of it though. No, like having a mask because he's idolizing his, I guess, you wouldn't call him hero, but his grandfather or whatever, you know, he thought he was the, you know, the person to save the galaxy kind of thing. But I thought the mask was cool, that he sounded good in the mask too. His hooded figure was good. His lightsaber, I thought, was a unique addition to the Star Wars franchise, having a crossguard, because it was like the classic old and like canon books, which are legends now, with having the cross guard because it protects you from getting your hands sliced off when you're in a duel with a lightsaber, because it has an extra bit of protection of the cross guard. But also, I thought this is not on purpose, but in my head, I think it is, and I like it as a positive. When Kylo Ren fights, he uses it as kind of like a sword. It's quite heavy, he throws some weight into it. But then I don't like how the other Jedi's in these movies use it like it's heavy too when it's just a regular lightsaber. I thought it would have been more unique if they were a bit more faster and Kylo had the more heavier, powerful strikes because of, the might of it. I thought that would have been a great thing that they could have done, but they kind of made Rey and even Finn make it look like the lightsabers were so like heavy when we've never seen it happen before. Like, I don't know. It's just
If
a
I
bit
may
weird again.
jump in on that point,
Yep,
I
go
do
for it.
see what you're saying, but I'm pretty sure George has said, and I'm pretty sure in that duel between Luke and Vader on Cloud City that when Luke uses the lightsaber, it looks pretty heavy the way he's using it. I'm pretty sure it's meant to be kind of like, if you're untrained with it, that it seems more heavy and cumbersome, whereas when you're trained with it, it seems really light and easy to use.
I would agree with that. However, you're trying to say that Kylo Ren and Rey by the end of this whole trilogy still have not mastered anything because they still are heavy with their
Are
stuff.
they even at the end,
Yeah,
even in the last film?
I've watched Rise a lot more times than the other two. He's still going like this, and she's still going like. I think it's about form because I think Luke's form was not as refined because of he only had like a little bit of training. But I reckon if Luke was grew up in the Jedi Council era and stuff, he would be the best Jedi, even stronger than Anakin, in my opinion. That's
Yeah,
my opinion on that.
probably.
I think because of the lack of influence upon other Jedi's and how little of training he kind of actually did have, meant he wasn't to his full potential. And I reckon that was due to form also too. His form of the lightsaber was never really that perfected, in my opinion. So
Okay.
anyway, that's that little side note. Um, well, other positive about the film, the music again, I did like this.
Oh,
Kylo Ren's theme is unreal,
I
unreal.
can't believe I forgot to mention the music.
Yeah. Um, I reckon Cooper likes Ray's theme, but do you, Cooper?
I'll talk about that later.
Okay, I don't like it. I think I think I like it as her scavenger becoming Jedi theme. But then I'm thinking about it even in Last Jedi and Rise. It's not a triumphant theme, in my opinion, for her to like come back to like fight the Emperor. Like, it's just, I don't know what it is. I think her whole character, in my opinion, I love Daisy Ridley, and I'm actually excited to see the new Star Wars film they're doing with her. I reckon they actually might go, hopefully, a bit more wiser with her, because I really didn't like how they portrayed her character in these films, and that was a big kind of error in my opinion. That this is negative. Forgot. Anyway, I'll go into it later. But to sum it up, I thought they had a good introduction to these characters. It led me wanting more,
Mhm.
but then it didn't satisfy me because it wasn't as creative. So I'm a bit on the fence about this movie and the positives and the
Yeah.
negatives. So yeah,
If
now Cooper.
I was just wondering, Cooper, it's up to you, but I think I had a few more things to mention for
Feel free, go
positives.
ahead.
All right, well, just to quickly launch off what Jack just said about how he was left wanting more there, that does remind me of when I saw it in the cinema, the first time actually seeing a Star Wars movie in the cinema, which is
Facts.
pretty
I was
pretty
about to
real
say
if you
that.
think
Yeah.
about it. Pretty weird
I was
thing to think
favorite
about.
Star Wars movie.
And we left the cinema wanting, we were excited to see what would happen. So
Mm.
that's a positive. And the other one is a scene in particular. I was watching the movie with subtitles, and there's the whole scene when Kylo kills Han. I was actually really invested in that scene for the first time, I think, watching it. And I think that's because I could actually read the words and understand what they're actually saying. Because I don't know why, but I've never really understood what it was. And Kylo Ren was saying to him, can you help me? And Han said, anything. And then when Kylo stabs him, he says, thank you. So it kind of leads you, because early in the film as well, Kylo says he's feeling a pull to the light. So I feel like it leads you to believe that Kylo is going to renounce being a Sith or a Knight of Ren or whatever you want to call him. But then they completely flip it over and he kills Han and he says thank you because in reality he wanted help in trying to become this evil villain, representative of Darth Vader. Whereas as a
Oh,
the
Mark,
viewer, you're kind of
you cut
thinking
out.
he's going to redeem himself and go back with his father.
I
What was
think
that,
that
sorry, Jay?
it's all right. For I don't know if it's just mine or my. You just cut out a little bit, but I got the gist of what you said.
Okay,
Um,
yeah.
I think that was done on purpose, which is kind of why I wasn't really. I wasn't a twisting. I was going to be like, oh my gosh, he killed Han. When Han started walking across that bridge, I knew it was
Yeah.
game over. I
When I
knew
first saw the film, I thought the same thing. I
it
thought,
didn't.
yeah,
It
Han's
didn't.
gone.
Yeah, I was
But
like, oh,
but I don't know, maybe it's just because I was able to, I don't know, like I've said, read it, kind of like
interesting,
reading the dialogue. Yeah, I
interesting.
don't know, it gave me a different vibe.
That's unique. Unique
And I
point of view.
thought the fact that I was actually invested in that scene, I got to mention it as a positive
That
because
says a lot. That says a lot.
it does because there weren't a whole lot of opportunities in that film where I was actually invested.
I thought I was invested in that one too with the music and stuff. I just
Mm,
thought the twist wasn't as what I think they expected it to be. In my
So
opinion.
I would say the complete opposite. And I know we have differing views, but I never once felt bored in this movie. I thought the action sequences were spaced out really well. I was never one moment where I'm like, oh God, can this just come on, move it along.
Hmm, interesting. I thought the first time
yeah,
I agree with you on
I
that.
don't know if it's that I wasn't entertained or whatever you said. When I say invested, I mean, like I'm actually actively thinking about what's happening and what's going to
Right.
happen as opposed to just kind of
Finally watching.
blindly watching it
Okay,
exactly.
that's fair enough.
I
Okay.
think, yeah, I agree with you on that, Cooper. I think honestly, it's hard to with these movies, the sequels. I reckon every time I watched it for the very first time, I almost enjoyed them a lot more than when I do now. You know what I mean? Like I know you said it because we
Mm,
go to the movies, we watch it, but a lot of the recent movies I have watched and then straight after I'm like, yeah, this is horrendous, you know? But like with these ones, I actually kind of was like, huh, that was actually pretty good. But then after, it just gets progressively worse, in my opinion, for each of them. I just see
yeah,
the plot holes. I see how the influence of just liking the franchise has on you. And when I
exactly.
watch this film, I think it is pretty boring, in my opinion. I think all the sequel ones are pretty boring, actually, rewatching it. However, there is moments in each of the movies which I think are shot and paced really well. I think the pacing is better than the originals in most of them. However, I think this one was actually I enjoyed more the first time than after with Force Awakens. I enjoyed it a
Okay.
lot more the very first time.
Interesting take there. If you guys are happy for me to go now,
Yeah.
I'd like to start with two things first before I even get
Mhm.
into my list. First of all, what you were mentioning before, Mark, with the subtitles, I also watched mine with subtitles, and there was a line between Ray and BB-8, or like a conversation that I didn't understand what Ray actually said, and I didn't really understand what was meant, because it's when Ray asked BB-8, "Where do you come from?"
Oh yeah.
And then she says something that I never knew, but she says classified in like a question mark, and then she
Mm,
says me too.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah, I
I
remember that.
never understood what she meant by classified, but now I'm glad I understand it because it makes a bit of sense. But
Yeah, because she didn't know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Still a
Anyway,
weird word to use for that.
it is. It is very for
Usually like,
BB-8 it
I
makes
don't know.
sense, but not for Ray.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
The
100%.
second thing I want to mention, and this is kind of going back further in the conversation that I had before,
Mhm.
with the crossguard lightsaber.
Ah,
Do you remember the first time you guys watched the teaser
yeah.
trailer for
Yeah.
this and you
You can
saw
say
Kylo Ren pull out that
I
crossguard
did.
lightsaber?
I can
Did you
still
guys
see
go
the scene.
flipping nuts like I did?
Yeah. I thought the
Yeah.
trailers did really well for
I
this
think,
too.
and I've made this clear before about the cross guard. I think, sorry, I think honestly, when I saw that, I was not excited and I didn't hate it at that point in time, but I was more just kind of surprised or thought it was weird.
I uh,
Yeah.
interesting. But also they didn't have that shot in the movie, didn't they? They just did it
No,
for a trailer shot.
no.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right. I've gone specific and I'll kind of go through them quickly, but I don't want to take away from the the beauty of this film because I think it's a very nice film. First of all,
Well
I
made.
don't know
Yeah.
if I don't know if you noticed. Actually, I'll just start very general. The village scene at the start was perfect. That
Yeah.
was done really
That
well.
was a good scene.
Hmm?
It
Yeah.
established who the heroes were, who the villains were. It showed what was at stake, and
Let's
it showed that
take
the First Order have no mercy.
it.
They were like, "Yep, this whole village, the spy came here. No, just kill them all. Doesn't matter."
And
They were
also
hiding a fugitive.
the fact that the camera focuses on Finn as a stormtrooper.
Yeah, that
You
was
don't
fantastic.
you don't see that. You never see the camera make it clear that you should be focusing on a stormtrooper.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And what I loved is that this is probably the first film. I know it's not the only film, but it's probably the first film in the whole series that focuses on the Empire for a good 15 minutes. Oh, not the Empire, the First Order for a good, or the bad guys for the first 15 minutes. And you kind of, I know, like in return, you get the start with Palpatine and Vader, but like you get all the characters. You get Phasma, Kylo Ren, Poe, and Lor San Tekka, and who else? BB-8. So it's just a perfect start to the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was a good introduction for sure.
Good
I don't
start.
know. I don't know if you'll agree with me on this one. There was a shot of Rey on the speeder at sunset going past. Gave me Attack of the Clones vibes with Anakin.
Yeah,
I can
Obviously
understand where
lacking.
you're coming from, but I didn't notice it.
I didn't I
Okay.
didn't link it, but I did
Neither
enjoy
did
it.
I.
I
Yeah,
thought it was
same.
lacking some Jewel of the Fates music, but
It lacks a lot of. Oh, I'm gonna say that later.
okay. I think the sound effects in this movie are fantastic.
100%.
The best addition they ever did, and this goes for all the sequels, is the sound effects of the Force.
Yeah, that was
The
cool.
the subtle, like the deep kind of whooshes and
Yeah.
deep growls and rumbles. Oh, it's
And I actually find it
fantastic.
funny that they include that in the closed captions.
Yeah, they
They
do.
said like what was it, like a
Rumble.
swooshing sound or something
Yeah.
like that.
How good is the sound of Carlo's like flame kind of vibrating of the lightsaber when it's idling?
Yeah.
That's something you don't. I think in a lot of the other movie you don't hear the idling, and like
Mm.
I feel like a lot of the ignitions back in especially in the Attack of the Clones when they were in the Colosseum-esque Geonosis,
Oh, they all sound the same.
they all sounded the same. There was no uniqueness. I feel like these movies do try and give you a bit of like, if you closed your eyes and you heard someone ignite a lightsaber, you could tell who it is. Like even Darth's and Obi-Wan's in the originals, it kind of sounded the same in my opinion. It's not that different. So I think
Yeah.
sound design team needs to get a raise for that.
Yeah,
Definitely.
they were fantastic.
Mm.
I don't know how you'll take this point. I really liked BB-8 as a character in this movie. I know it's a rip-off of R2-D2, but I found that BB-8 was quite funny and added some unique sort of interactions. I thought the one that sticks out in mind is the bit when Finn says, "Get us there as fast as you can," and he sticks out the thing and puts a thumbs up.
Yeah.
I
That
think
was
he has
fun.
a lot more. I think he has good character, like in
Yeah.
terms, not character like arc, but like character in terms of a droid, like R2.
Yeah, I mean, like C-3PO and R2-D2 don't get character arcs, but
I was going to say C-3PO. Yeah, I think hot take. I actually kind of prefer BB-8 over C-3PO because I prefer droids when they're not obnoxiously talking all the time and taking up dialogue. Like,
Yep.
Well,
yeah, I think it
you
just
know, every other movie you've been saying C-3PO is annoying, and I've been saying I completely disagree. I kind of got those vibes in this movie.
with BB-8.
No, with C-3PO that he was a bit annoying.
yeah, well,
Yeah,
he came in like the last 40 minutes of the movie and
I
didn't do
think
anything.
I think the main one is when Han and Leia see each other for the first
Yeah.
time in who knows how
Yeah.
long, and he just jumps in front and starts saying, "Like General Leia, do you know who this is?"
it's he's he's a character who's beloved upon a lot of people, but I never really connected with him. I don't know. He just always was kind of there, and I always loved R2. And I thought R2 was the cutest like character ever. And then there's C-3PO, who's just there, talking,
I
talking. So annoying.
I I thought I get that vibe about just being there with Chewbacca. I don't think he really adds a
He
lot
needs more.
to.
Yeah, he needs more
I
dialogue.
feel like
Yeah.
that in this movie. Yes, he
Well, not
was
dialogue,
just
but
there.
like growling, whatever he
Yeah.
cheap language.
There was that
Um.
scene where he was an absolute monster
Oh yeah.
when Han
Yes.
died,
That was
and he
Yeah.
was
yeah.
and he went rage mode. That was awesome.
He did
actually
go rage mode.
almost killed Kylo.
Yeah.
He almost
Yeah, that's true. He shot Kylo in the knee.
no, it was the hip, I thought.
Yeah, well, somewhere anyway.
Yeah,
Somewhere.
he was in a fight with Ray. He was like hitting it, getting the
Mhm.
excess blood.
Yeah.
I'm kind of skipping ahead here. I really liked Hux's speech on Starkiller
Yeah,
Base.
that was cool.
That really showed how
Determined.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? And I'm jumping forward in movies here. How can that man be? Oh, okay, hang on. Let me rephrase
I
that.
know what you're gonna say.
Don't say the
Yeah.
spy thing
No, no,
because
no, no, no. I was wondering, like, did he turn spy after this? Because he seems so invested in the First Order.
no, it was Last Jedi. It was that movie and
Okay, all
that
right.
That's
thing.
why. That's one of my points that will be focused on in later movies.
Yeah.
That's why I said I like Hux in this film, but he was. It just doesn't make sense at all, in my opinion.
I just
He's
never
He
thought it was him.
he ordered the destruction of like a whole system, a whole star
yeah,
system, and then
he's
and
yeah.
that was the Republic, and then all of a sudden he decides, oh, actually, I want the Republic back.
No, he didn't want the Republic back.
Well, no, he
Well,
just wanted
he was
Kylo
in
Ren
the
to lose.
Resistance
Yeah,
either way.
I
He
think
joined
that
the
made.
Resistance.
I think it wouldn't have made any sense at all if he was just good. Like he was still evil. He just did not.
Exactly.
He did
They
not
should have
care.
just kept him as he was, like
Oh
even
no.
make him a warlord or something afterwards. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that could have done that too. I was just more saying the spy thing isn't as confusing, I think, as you guys were trying to make it out to be.
Nah, I reckon it
I think
is.
it's a power hungry thing. He doesn't want Kylo Ren to be above him. And I think that happens a lot in these kind of like military kind of things. I think it just surprised everyone because of how like uncalled for it kind of was. It didn't lead it like there was no like hints at him doing it, which made it weird. Like, you know what I mean? They didn't like show you like a thing where he like looks over at like Kylo in like a disgust apart from like when he was gonna kill what's it called? Kill Kylo with the gun at Last Jedi. Remember
Yeah,
that? That
yeah.
was the only time you actually kind of saw him like, oh, this guy hates Kylo Ren. And then they just make it up like, oh yeah, he was always trying to like take out Kylo kind of thing because he wanted the higher power, which was a bit weird.
I was just laughing before, and I didn't. I'm sorry if that kind of distracted you, but I just kept thinking about the line, "I'm the spy."
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
know.
Yeah,
I
it
agree.
wasn't right.
It's terrible. Okay. I really liked. I don't know if you guys picked up on this. I really liked Han's nickname for Finn. Did you pick up what that was?
I think I've forgotten it already. I haven't
It
rewatched it.
was Mark. Do you know? Or
Can't think of it at the moment. No.
it was Big Deal. He
Oh
calls
yeah,
him Big Deal.
because he said he
Does
was a
he?
heel in the Resistance. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's
Um,
funny, but I did not notice that at all.
Really?
okay. I think you guys will agree with me. And this is where I kind of feel like it deviates from the New Hope plotline. The Battle of Takodana was chef's
That was
kiss.
good. That was good.
Yep.
And in particular, I love the arrival of the Resistance
Yep.
and the March of the Resistance theme.
Yep.
The
Fantastically done. They're
all I could
zooming in on
think.
the horizon. Oh yeah.
Sorry, you go.
No, I was done. You go.
I was just gonna say, all I can think of when I saw that was the Battlefront 2 map.
Yeah. Fact.
Well, yeah, the Battlefront 2 map does really good at like
Yeah.
copying. So
It does.
I liked the whole battle sequence. I didn't like the pre-stuff at the bar and the whole lightsaber being in Maz
Yeah.
Kanata's castle thing.
that was a bit. That was a
Made
bit.
no sense. That was just
Yeah,
there for plot
I agree.
purposes. Like
Yeah.
I thought
Completely
that
agree.
I don't like Maz's character that much. She's too like OP for no reason. Also, she knows everything. Like
She's
how?
like a Yoda, but without the Force.
Yeah, what? But then she knows about the Force. I don't. It's just another useless addition. Like you don't need to have that many like new characters in the movie. But when they step outside, perfect. The fight was perfect.
I agree with
And
Mars
Kylo
being a
was
useless
great.
character. I don't
Mm.
think Mars is a very good character at all.
Yeah.
I don't know how well you're going to take this point. I really like there's one long shot of Poe like destroying 20 TIE fighters as Finn runs across the battlefield.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yep.
And that is something that I think the originals didn't really do very well.
Yep.
You saw in the asteroid field Han be a good pilot
Mhm.
and managed to avoid all the asteroids and everything. Well, mostly. But in this one, Poe, he's been told that he's a great pilot, and we've been told he's a great pilot. But in that shot, you just get to see how fluent he is in the next wing.
Actively fighting both ground and aerial battles. That's what. Yeah, I do give you that. But I think once again that comes down to money. You know what I mean? Like they would not have been able to do. It would have looked so fake just having like a model ship go like that. Imagine like I'm picturing that scene, but with the graphics of like A New Hope and stuff, would not be possible. That's what I'm saying.
No.
That's why you can't really compare them.
They would have spent the whole budget on it.
Yeah, I'm comparing them in terms of plot and like dialogue, because that never changes over time, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
The
graphics
thing
and
I
stuff.
find funny about that scene is the cinematography. It looks like they've just strapped the GoPro to one of the wings.
Yeah,
Yeah,
quite literally.
I liked it
Yeah,
though.
that's really cool. Yeah, it
It's
was
fun.
good.
Yeah,
It
it
was
it
different.
looks funny.
I love it when they do that with ties and stuff too, and Mando and stuff. It's so cool. I love it. Andor.
I'm gonna say this before I forget it, and I didn't write it down, but it's really good. I really like how there's a lot of moments in this movie where stormtroopers are shot, but it's like they get hit with a brick wall. They
Mm.
go flying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the
I
bowcaster,
love that. I
Mm.
don't know why. It's so
with
cool
Chewie's
to see
bowcaster.
them.
It looks so
Yeah.
funny.
Roadcaster is smart because it tries to show that it's an actual weapon that is not the same as a regular like blaster. Like it's
Yeah,
not.
Mm.
Like it never
the
has
rag,
been. But they acted
the
like
way
it.
they just ragdoll through the air.
Good. It's a
And
powerful.
even with the X-wings that are shooting the people on the
Yeah,
ground, the
they
stormtroopers,
just
they get thrown back.
it's
It's just
funny.
awesome to see and
Oh,
Yeah,
great
the
action
bomb is
set
so
pieces.
plastic. Yeah, makes sense.
Sticking with Takodana, there's a long shot of Finn running after Rey when the ship's leaving, like with Kylo and Rey. I thought that was pretty good. And he kind of, I don't know if he shoots any stormtroopers on the way, but just, I love the long
Screams
shot where
Rey.
it just kind of goes across. Yeah, I don't
That was
know.
the only time where he could scream Ray and it would make sense.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
All
yeah,
right. I'm getting into general here. I liked Luke's reveal. I thought the music and the
Yep.
swelling of the
yeah.
music was incredible.
Yep.
And even though he wasn't in the movie that much, I thought it was right for his story. From when we first saw in the opening credits that he's vanished
Mm-hmm.
to showing up, it felt almost like a reward for
Mission almost.
getting through the movie.
Yeah.
Um, I thought that the story felt nostalgic but also new. It was like it was
Yeah.
refreshed. It was a refreshed version of A New Hope. I agree, but it
The
did a great job at bringing the audience back into the world. Because you got to
Yeah.
think it's been 30 something years since we've seen like Han and Leia and
Mhm.
Chewie and Luke, so it's does well to bring everyone back into this time period or this new time period, familiarizing ourselves with characters we know,
Yeah.
and introducing new characters. I think it does a fantastic job of that.
Yeah.
Last thing before I get to the last thing,
The
CGI and
penultimate
effects.
positive.
You guys have already mentioned that it looks fantastic, and I know that's Disney budget and spending $500 million or whatever it was on it, but I think it looks fantastic. There's something about even just I'm thinking of that scene inside the oscillator core or whatever where Poe's flying around and blowing up everything. Just
Yeah,
the
that was cool.
explosions and everything looks so cool. The fire and I cannot praise this movie heavily enough. And maybe that's why I love the sequel so much because it just is exactly what I love about Star Wars, but presented in a much more clean and crisp sort of way. And I just, yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Interesting.
just that can't change my mind. I get the nostalgic feel, and I love Empire,
I
and
think you describing it as clean and crisp is a very good way of describing it.
yeah,
Yeah.
even the
That's
lightsabers look
when they
fantastic.
use the dialogue and plot. I think
Mm.
that those two things are what carry movies, and those two things were not. It had no
They were lacking.
like steady structure for one, like for the 7 to 9. That's my thing. Like if they had good dialogue and good script, good plot, holy cow, it would be like probably the best trilogy you could get because the visual effects are so good. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I just think I would have even connected with the characters more if they just made sense and like
Mm.
didn't feel so forced into everything. Forced
Yep.
into being the same as what we already know.
Yep.
Be different kind of thing. And that's why Finn was going to be amazing in my opinion if they did
Yeah.
the right thing.
I agree. I think Finn's character would have been better if he
100%.
continued that path. But I do like that Finn kind of goes through a process, and it's only through his care for Rey, I guess, that he realizes that he needs to be
When
something more than just running away. I
Mhm.
think
A
that's this
deserter.
film. I think Last Jedi does the best at exploring the theme of identity, but definitely for Finn, he gets the best character arc in this movie.
Yep.
Definitely.
I'll give you that.
Last thing, and Jack, you mentioned it before, Rey's theme. I do not understand how you do not like it. It
Oh.
is the perfect character theme. I would go as far to say as that it is top 2 character themes in Star Wars.
First being
Probably Kylo Ren would be first.
Oh my
We're
lord.
I'm
gonna say
sorry. I
Imperial
know
March.
Anakin's and Luke's and
Yes.
Yoda's are
What
fantastic,
about
but
Imperial March?
I wouldn't put that. I'd put that as Vader's theme, but
Yeah,
I don't know. That kind of
Exactly.
gets boring and repetitive when you listen to it so often. I think that Ray's theme is just so whimsical and calming, and it has
Exactly. Whimsical. It is so I can't take it seriously. Like it's yeah,
really,
stand up. Stand up against the
really,
empire.
you don't like the slow build and then the euphoric kind of sense of triumph, and then the kind of fall and just back to tonally
I,
understanding.
I
Really?
don't think it's bad. I just don't
Okay.
think it's as what they intended it. Like obviously you got that feeling. I did not get the it's heroic. I don't get that. For a main protagonist trying to fight against the First Order, I don't get that it doesn't give me that kind of sense of belief that things will be different kind of thing. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say. It
Okay.
doesn't affect me like it should, and I didn't. That's why I didn't like it.
All right.
Mm.
Okay, I think the best way I can describe Ray's theme is that I listened to it like for 15 minutes on repeat last night and just couldn't get over it. So yeah.
Someone have a crush on
Anyway,
Ray?
no, 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 no. I have no. I just really like Ray's theme. That's all. I love music and I love soundtracks, and you guys know I like soundtracks because
I love
I
soundtracks too. I have them on
but
vinyl.
just Ray's theme is
No,
icing on the cake
that
for
was
me.
me with Kylo Ren when The Force Awakens came out. I was playing that YouTube video for 4 minutes on repeat every time.
Yeah, fair enough.
Kylo
Okay.
Ren's build up, like that is a proper, like, oh yeah, this guy means business. Her one's just like, yeah, it's fun, I guess.
Okay,
It's
all right.
it's Daisy. It's like, oh, Daisy, like Daisy, really, like it's like kind of, like, it's something. It's something. I don't know what it is.
Okay, all right. We've rambled on with positives for a long time. Let's get
yes,
to
we
some
have.
negatives. So, Mark, do you want to start us off?
Yes,
Yeah, so
and I think I won't spend too long on it because we spent a long time on positives,
Yeah.
and also I think it's pretty well known. The plot. Now, I'm saying that it was a negative in the fact that it ripped off A New Hope.
Yep.
Like it was still an okay plot, but it just felt just plagiarized, like a complete copy, like change the words of my homework sort of thing. That's what I got the gist of. Because the very beginning is Poe Dameron putting like a little thing into BB-8, which is
a
just
device.
Leia putting something into R2.
Mm.
Like the very start of the film is the same thing. And then the Starkiller base is the Death Star, and I don't need to continue because I think we all know.
And then you got Ray being like Luke on a desert planet. Then you also
Oh, true, Jakku. Which
yep.
how many times have we said we don't need to see any more like Tatooine
Yeah.
or desert planets? I'm
Okay.
starting to
Jeddah.
get
The
tired.
the the only exception I have for desert planets is Jeddah because I think there's such a rich
Yeah,
history on Jeddah that it
Jeddah has like the Jedi temples and stuff,
Mm.
yeah.
and that adds something to it. But
Also, they have
Jakku is just a sand planet with
yeah
scavengers on it.
yeah
Like
they
it's pretty boring.
adding on to Mark's point here because I don't want to talk about my negatives. Mark's talked about now, so I'm just gonna add to it. The ripoff of it. You also have I know you like the start of it, and I like the start of this movie too, but it's basically similar in terms of we had the Empire and ambush the Tantive IV. Then you have
Yeah,
the First Order coming into the village. They
yeah.
try to get the plans or whatever the special thing is, which happens exactly like this. They send the droid down. They send R2 and C3PO down.
Kylo Ren and Darth Vader
Ren.
both entering
Yep,
after the stormtroopers have
yep.
cleared it out.
Then you also literally have the what's it
L-
called?
Law Santeca and Captain Antilles.
Yeah. Or yeah, kind of, I guess. But I'm more just trying to say plot wise, it's a direct rip, and I wasn't a big fan of A New Hope's plot. That's what one of my major criticism was. So seeing it again, but just revamped with characters I didn't really like as much as the originals, just left a foul taste in my opinion. So yeah,
Mm,
there you go back to
yeah.
Mark.
So yeah, plot. That's probably the main one. Writing of characters. I feel like in this movie it was okay, but I feel like it got just completely. Why is Cooper doing this? Why? What do you want to say, Cooper?
No, you had me thinking you were going to say something terrible about the characters being poorly written, but then you said it was okay, so I'm like, oh, he's
Yeah,
changing his
look,
mind.
I feel like this movie, because it's the first one, they had a lot of opportunity to make them better in the next two
Mhm.
movies. Like as Jack was saying with Finn, like I think almost everyone seeing the trailers was like, "Oh, we're gonna see a stormtrooper become a Jedi. That's awesome!"
That's
Like I
awesome.
was so ready for that
Yeah.
storyline, and then nothing happened with it. And we were saying before the recording how Finn gets slowly pushed to the side throughout the
Yeah.
three movies. Like I feel like he had so much potential as
Yep.
a character. And then Rey, now I know how much people hate when we say this, but she's just a Mary Sue. She's
Yeah.
just a character who, like, you don't see it as much in this movie, but you see little glimpses of it. That she's a master at everything. She doesn't need training. Like she uses a Jedi mind trick without knowing anything about Jedi mind
Yeah.
tricks. She
Yeah.
forces a lightsaber without knowing how to
Yeah.
use the Force.
Beats Kylo
Like
Ren, who's had training.
she beats Kylo Ren in a lightsaber duel. Who Kylo has been trained in lightsaber combat, and she hasn't.
It's painful.
Like,
It's painful.
uh, yeah, it's just I can't handle it. It's
You
just
can't
too
get
much.
behind it when it doesn't make sense. Like,
Exactly.
it just doesn't make sense for the universe of Star Wars. Like, sure, have a strong character, whatever, like, but just don't make it so obvious that you're trying to promote one thing. Like, it's so
And
Disney.
in
It's
fact,
so
here's another one.
Disney.
Kylo Ren is using the Force to interrogate her, and she does it back to him.
Yeah, like she hasn't had any experience. You can't just be like, oh yeah, she's strong in the Force, so she can stop a mind probe thing
And
happening.
I completely disagree with the concept that she's a descendant of Palpatine, but let's just say that she is. Even if she was and was super strong in the Force, she's not going to know how to use it.
Yeah, exactly. Luke didn't. Luke was the son of Vader. He didn't know how to
Yeah, the
use it
chosen
until
one.
a little- he got his ass whipped around everywhere. Like he did not know how to use it until
Exactly.
basically
He had to get trained.
like it's. I don't. Yeah. Even let's just say Finn was the main character, right? And Finn was written the same. I would still be complaining. It's not about who the character is. It's about how they're written, and it was poorly
Exactly.
done and not thought uh through. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You can't. This is why next week's going to be controversial because I cannot fathom someone like defending the character of Luke Skywalker being written like that. It is
Yes,
unreal, and I disagree
exactly.
with it with my whole heart, and I will fight to the death about it
Still alive.
Exactly.
because it makes zero sense, and you
Yeah.
cannot say it was good for it because they
Yeah.
ruined they ruined a whole saga of the
Yep.
Skywalker franchise
Yep.
and the Skywalker meaning of it.
Yeah.
No,
Completely
no,
agree on all counts.
no.
And it's not just us going to be. It's not just going to be me and Mark and I against Cooper. The whole world is unanimously who likes Star Wars can say that it's a poorly written, lackluster
I don't care.
idea concept.
I don't
So I am
care.
ready. I am pumped,
You see,
and I'm ready.
No,
This
I've been
is
preparing evidence for 4 weeks.
this is
Evidence
butter
of
taste.
what? Mindless writing, mindless ideas.
It's not
Don't-
mindless.
This is but a taste of next week. We'll get into it next week.
How can you say it's mindless?
We
They
will get
ruined-
into that next week, and that will be a
They
very
ruined
interesting
Marvel.
episode. But for now, I'm going to continue with the characters. I know Harrison Ford wanted Han Solo to die, but I I can't really get behind that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess it makes you could say it makes sense story wise. Kylo Ren's evil and all that, but I just didn't really like it at all. Also, I didn't enjoy the fact that Han and Leia have been separated for so long, and
Yes.
considering that they fell in love in the end of Episode 6, and that was
Although, if I can add quickly, I think it's quite interesting the fact that they both it was the loss of their son that made them go back to they said it alone, they both went back to what they're best at. And that was Han being a smuggler and Leia leading the general being a general. So I thought that was quite an interesting thing.
Yeah, I
New
agree.
Indiana Jones movie in a nutshell.
Yeah, I was about to say that as well. Indiana Jones. I still haven't seen it yet, but from what I gather, it's a similar concept.
Similar.
And
Would you say?
I don't know if there's much else to say. I mean, it's just a carbon copy of A New Hope. The writing is pretty abysmal.
It's pretty bad.
And if I think of anything to add on when you guys speak, I will do so.
Alrighty. I'm gonna make it short and sharp because next week I say all my negatives about the whole sequel trilogy. I'm not gonna because linking it needs to be done in that movie because that is where the sequels go. So anyway, I'm almost really tempted to get some people on the podcast for it because honestly, we We
You
need
just
backup.
want to you
No,
just want to silence Cooper with all
Yeah.
the correct opinions.
No.
Yeah, literally.
Correct
No.
opinions.
Yeah.
Is there such a thing?
There is in this
Yep.
case.
What?
And I
Objectively
was
bad
very
written
I was
stuff.
very conscious of the words I chose.
Yeah, good. Anyway, that's for next week. And yep. Honestly, about next week too, I reckon we should just let Cooper say everything.
No.
Me and Mike will stay silent, and then we just absolutely rip into him. I reckon that's what we need. So
I have
anyway,
a feeling next week is going to be Cooper
The end
has
of the
a
Coruscant
whole
Knights podcast.
Cooper has a whole court case of well researched and well thought out points to make, and then it'll just be Jack and I just
saying no,
yeah,
that is wrong. That is false. Anyway,
that's how it's going to be.
my negatives about this movie. Obviously, I just said similar stuff to Mark, so I agree with Mark's point on everything. So extending on that, the stuff that he didn't mention, which is kind of hard to do because it's literally almost the whole film about the plot and everything. I think what the major issue I had with it, and it was evident obviously in the next ones, they did not have an idea on what they were going to do from 1 to the from 7 to 9, which clearly just shows how lazy they are in terms of they want to play it so safe.
And I've said that multiple times on the podcast. I still cannot understand why they wouldn't have written them all at the same time, or at least come up with a general story.
Disagree. Yeah, you can disagree by saying I didn't like the prequels, I didn't like the originals, whatever. At least they all had a start to finish on what they wanted to do story-wise. They let the creative directors choose what they wanted to, like how they got to that kind of point. But then there was a beginning and there was an end point, right? Like Ryan Johnson, right? He did not. He didn't for the Last Jedi. He didn't know what was going to happen next, right? So fair credit to him. He did what he wanted to do. I don't blame him in particular. I blame Disney, and I blame how there was no creative team that had a 1 2 3 kind of structure with it. Like a franchise, you can't just do your own thing in it. Anyway,
it doesn't. It just doesn't make sense. Like logically, in my opinion, just logically, I can't see how it makes sense because it just means everything goes all over the place.
This is why, like, I don't think people, if they had a structure, people like when Mark says he doesn't want it to be canon or whatever, he doesn't see it as canon, is because there's no like one mind, there's no creativity from start to end of anything. They're just this one's a rehash, the next one goes off the rails, and the third one's trying to do fan service and just make up its own thing. It's just it doesn't make sense. And that
I agree. It does not make sense.
Yeah, and that's what infuriates me watching this film. And that's why I was saying to Cooper and everyone beforehand, saying how this movie, when I watched it first, was the best viewing I had of it because I didn't have the knowledge of the others, right?
Exactly, because we left the theater. This is what I said earlier. We left the theater thinking we have got like this is going to be good. Like it's going to lead into something good.
Yeah, exactly. But now after all the other ones, this one just feels useless and a waste of time. Like, why do we need a reimagining of A New Hope? Cool. We got to see the only character I would, out of all the new characters, the only character I would take away from these new movies is Kylo Ren. I'm sorry. Poe's basically a rehash of Han, just pretty cool. Finn's just sideline, and Rey's just nothing, basically. She doesn't do anything. Like,
on the other hand, she's everything.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't connect with her because there's no struggle. There's no, I don't care that she doesn't know about like where she came from because it's not different. It's kind of just it's just lazy writing. They're just like, oh, how do we make this character different from anyone else?
Like,
Let me ask you a question.
That's another plot point that they could have, like with the lightsaber, and then with Rey's parents, they could have done something really good.
I'm saying,
but then they just said, oh, she's a Palpatine.
They had so much creative freedom with these, and that's why Cooper, we fight so heavily against it because it's literally probably like the worst of the worst ideas that they put into these movies. They had so much freedom to do whatever they wanted, and they did this.
My biggest gripe is them ruining Luke.
Yeah, like don't. But you have established.
Luke is not ruined.
You have established characters. You have books. You have George Lucas, who created the Star Wars franchise, talk about all these characters, and then what do Disney do? They're like, yeah, let's just make all these legacy characters into nothing and make you hate them, make you not believe in who they stood for. He saved Darth Vader, who was arguably the most evil character in the entire universe, right? And now what? He doesn't have any hope. He's hopeless. They make him old, weathered. He doesn't want to do anything about humanity. He does not care about anything anymore.
From A New Hope to No Hope.
Literally, it's so objectively appalling to watch. My eyes, I don't want to see it. Anyway, let me finish up on this negatives.
Let's get back on track.
Get back on track. I thought some of the new addition characters were done all right, but overall they're just not as good as the ones that've come before, right? So it was just hard to watch and hard to see, like hard to, when I watched even A New Hope and Phantom Menace, I was like, I can get behind some of these characters, right? I want to see where they go. With most of these, I said most. When I'm talking about like watching this one, I couldn't get behind most of them, and especially I love Kylo Ren from the start. But then when he got beat by Rey at the end, I'm like, why? Like, why would I get involved in Kylo Ren who can't even beat an untrained? I don't care what descendant she is, an untrained Jedi. He should be obliterating her or him or whoever. He did it to Finn. Why couldn't he do it to Rey? Basically the same level. It's just she's got a bit of the Force. I don't understand. It's lazy writing. It's just bad creative minds. I did not enjoy it, and it's hard to rewatch. Okay,
yeah.
But it's not a bad film because it's a rehash of a good film.
I agree. Yes, and that's a great way of putting it.
And the humor is forced. It's no creative freedom. They didn't want to go outside the box, and when they did go outside the box, the next one, Last Jedi happened. Done.
Yeah,
yeah, it was fantastic.
Cooper's negatives.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bother arguing back because I just love watching you guys rant.
Because we'll do it next week.
Get it all out of your system because it just makes me feel happy that you guys find so much displeasure in that.
Oh no, we're passionate. This is why we're passionate.
Yeah,
we're all passionate. We all want. Star Wars is so different, which means everyone has their own opinions, which is good. It's just when you see the characters that personally I love the most, like Luke and stuff.
Yeah,
something that is not even fathomable in my head that will happens. It's so heartbreaking. You know what I mean?
Okay, and I guess
you can like it if you want, but it's so heartbreaking for people who like Luke so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's where I feel like this next week is going to be so difficult because for me, I don't think Luke has ruined it all.
Yeah,
but
and
that's what I mean. So it's going to be difficult to argue with reason because it's just opinions.
But this is what I'm saying. Next week almost would not be almost an argument as such. It's more just as a talk about opinions. Because
next week is going to be more of a very opinionated one. I don't even know if it's going to be positives or negatives. I think if anything, it's just going to be more of a debate about the movie itself. I reckon.
Because if Cooper, like he said, he didn't think Luke's character was ruined, that's his opinion. I can't argue. It's not like it's like a debate topic about like school uniforms or whatever, like he did back in high school and stuff. Like, there's no debate to it. It's just he likes that, and we can't even begin to agree with that. It's just
we can't agree, but he's still entitled.
Yeah, he's entitled to it. So it's more like when he says that, we're just gonna have to sit here and go, like, sure, that's what he likes, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be hard, but fair enough.
I'm still looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to just hearing stuff more.
We need to.
Everyone knows the negatives. That's the thing. Everyone knows subjectively the negatives of. Even Cooper would know himself about what the people are negative about. So I don't know a lot about the positives about it, apart from like a few things that some people liked. You know what I mean? So I'm more interested to see the unreal calls that Cooper's going to make next week. So yeah.
Well, we will get into that next week. I don't have a lot of negatives, so I'll speed through them and then nitpicks.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys noticed, and I don't know why I hated this. Rey on Jakku when they're in like the market area.
Yeah.
And the poachers try and kidnap Rey and BB-8. Rey bites one of them on the arm.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Why do they need to do that?
But that's kind of smart though. Let's think about it. In real life situations, if you're like stuck in a jam, you'll do anything you could to like get out of that. So I think I didn't notice it, but I think that's almost probably a good thing that she did. Okay. Like it's using her brains, saying like, "Oh, I'm stuck here. What's anything I can do to get out of it? Oh, why not fight them?"
Fair enough.
And it hurts.
I think I know this is Disney logic, and we've spoken about this before. In theory, by logic, Kylo Ren and Finn should have died.
100%. Yeah.
Finn should have been split in two down the middle, and
Kylo
Ren should have had his head decapitated.
Yep.
There's no
he would have been half of his
way.
face. half of his face would have been off, and Finn would have been split in half entirely.
I think Kylo's whole head's coming off.
The side of it, because she went like
Because it went like this. So
Yeah.
it would have gone. It would have
Yeah,
cut
but
his
still,
head
if you
open
cut up,
like
if you
that.
cut up that
Well,
way,
head's
like,
still
that's
partial.
half of your. That's worse than Snoke.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but once again, that happens with the baseball bat, like Mark likes to mention. It's just,
Yeah.
it's just
Like,
whatever the.
I don't know if okay, that's something I can say about this movie. There were no baseball bats, so for that I'm thankful.
Yeah, but it was almost just as bad.
There were no
because-
baseball bats. It's
No.
just that they seem to only hit anyone with the tip of their lightsaber.
Yeah, it's like. Oh, to be fair though, it makes no sense having this powerful weapon. It should be able to like you touch someone with it, there'll be a hole in them. You know,
If
it's
if um if I had a choice, obviously I'll choose this over.
Oh yeah,
They should have done that in
Immediately.
Obi-Wan and stuff. Like no baseball bats, thank you.
At least they got marks from it, scars from it. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
in his back, he probably would have had a massive scar on the back. You know,
Mm.
like that's fair enough. And he was in critical condition at least. At least he didn't just walk it off. It'd been funny as if he just got up and was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, fair.
Just I didn't mention this as positive, but I'll say it quickly. I really liked the lightsaber fight at the end. I thought that was pretty good. In the snow,
It was pretty
cool.
good.
The lighting was good. The scene was, the scenery was also good. I think the choreograph needs to be better for the whole series, not just this one. I think it could be better.
I'll debate that next week.
And
The
music.
last thing, the last negative, and it's just simply based off of logic, and I know it's Star Wars. The plan to enter Starkiller Base at light speed should not work.
Last
Yeah,
They are
I was
going
thinking that as
faster
well.
than the speed of light,
Yeah.
and they are able to pull up at the last
Yeah,
second.
they can,
That
and not
should
just
not
that,
happen.
but their reaction time is faster than the speed of light.
Yeah,
They can
it
pull
sh-
out
it
of
shouldn't
hyperspace.
work.
They can pull out of hyperspace as they
Light
enter the atmosphere.
Light speed travels in his movies have been horrendous. Light speed tracking
In the sequels, yeah.
and then the light speed through a whole fleet can somehow demolish all of them instead of just one because it's going through one. I don't.
Anyway,
Visually,
I thought it was just logic. I thought it was a cool scene to watch, but I think logically shouldn't have worked.
there's a lot of unlogical stuff with this movie, especially the extracting power of the sun with the Starkiller Base 2 seemed a bit
I'm alright with that. I didn't think that was too
impractical though.
far-fetched.
So
Yeah.
not
It's
practically
easy.
right.
It's easier than getting kyber crystals.
I do have a question about that actually, because I didn't figure it out during the movie. They kept saying when the sun is gone. Do they mean the light, or does it literally mean like they destroy the sun by absorbing all of its power?
I think they do.
Yeah, I
They
think
destroy the sun,
Yeah.
because then that just, I mean, you can't say this in Star Wars because there's so many other times you could argue about science and physics. But if you destroyed the sun, that it wouldn't make sense. But anyway, we
I
won't
don't
get on
think
to that.
maybe it's not destroying this. Maybe the sun needs to like recharge.
Recharge.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
That's
Like, it
just
sounds
odd.
funny. It sounds funny, but that's what I was
Probably
thinking.
more realistic actually for Star Wars.
Yeah.
All right. That was a very hearty
long.
discussion.
All right, is that
Um,
the end of it? Yeah, sick.
Yep.
We'll get into some quotes and then we'll play the game. I don't have a lot of quotes, but we'll
That's
go through
all
them
right.
anyway. And then we'll finish with scene change.
Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Okay.
Think about that.
We
while you
ready?
go quotes.
Hmm?
Go do the quotes first, so I can start thinking about the scene change.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
all right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay, all right. Did you see that? I saw it. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that
Finn
was-
getting his chance to shine in the
Mm.
in the TIE cockpit.
All right.
This is when Poe's describing BB-8 to Finn. He says his BB-8 unit, orange and white, one of a kind. So that was pretty funny. Ray says the garbage will do, referring to the Millennium Falcon. Unkar Plutt says, "That's mine."
It's just not.
One
Well, yeah.
quarter portion.
Bullshit. Han's first quote, Chewie, we're home. That's pretty cool. Another Han quote, crazy thing is, it's true. The Force, the Jedi, all of it, it's all true. That's
Mhm.
pretty big for Han to admit that, though.
I agree.
Mars gets a quote, if you live long enough, you see the same eyes in different people.
Yeah,
I
that's
think that's a
actually
pretty powerful quote.
a good one.
I
Yeah.
wonder how old Mars is.
Probably like Yoda species and lives for years.
She looks
Thousands.
pretty old. She looks pretty old. Okay, this one I want to just have a meaning behind it. The belonging you seek is not behind you; it is ahead. Mars says that. Do you reckon that is referring to Luke Skywalker? The belonging you seek is not behind you, it is ahead. Do you reckon that's referring to Luke?
Maybe
I
she
don't
just
really
means the resistance or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe don't stay in the past of your.
Or maybe she's referring to the fact that Rey supposedly is meant to be restoring New Jedi or whatever.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
like more just don't forget the past. Kind of like what Carlo says.
Yeah, don't dwell on the past.
Yeah, okay. All right. That's a quote for next week.
Yeah.
Okay. Hux' speech, and they will remember this as the last day of the Republic.
Yeah.
That was good. Han says, I like this thing about the bowcaster.
Mm.
Finn, that's one hell of a pilot. Who wants to do Han's funny quote? Mark, do you want to do Han's funny quote? The
Don't
one
know
on
which quote.
Starkiller Base? Talking to Finn?
I think I know
Yeah.
which one you mean, yeah. All right. That's not how the Force works.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Sanitation.
Sanitation.
As long as there's light, we've got a chance. I think that's a pretty cool, like, I don't even know what to call it. Symbolism, yeah.
Light, I guess.
Yep.
And physical light.
This is a recurring quote. And it's Kylo Ren. I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
Rise also.
And the last quote I have listed down, traitor!
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right, guys.
Oh, I'm scared.
It's time for
For
who has more
more
screen time.
Come
It's
on,
difficult
Cooper.
to do it together online.
Why are you making it so difficult for me?
No, because I heard
It's
you, but you were
delayed.
delayed in my ears. So I was
It's
like, I'll let it
delayed.
slow down for you.
That's so funny. I'm
Okay,
so
a reminder,
scared.
a reminder of the scores. Jack, you're on 5. Mark, you're on 4 because you won last week.
I'm so scared.
3 left.
I have a question for Jack. Did you rewatch this film?
No, see, I haven't watched any of them apart from the one I watched with you guys, and I will obviously watch The Last Jedi with you guys again. But I watched it
Okay.
like a month ago, a couple months ago.
Okay.
So I think that'll be unreal, like watching it like 2 times within 2 months.
Mm.
So, but I like watching it with you guys in person. It's good. It's good fun.
All right, I've got that seems weird. I've got 7 comparisons.
Okay.
Some of them actually, now that I look at it, seem kind of wasted. Anyway, we'll go through them anyway. Who has more screen time? Han Solo or Finn the Traitor? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Finn.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty
In
stock
it
standard.
start to end basically.
Yeah.
I almost forgot about the 5-second thing, and I almost said Finn straight away.
Yeah.
If you're curious, Finn had 31 minutes and 45 seconds. Han had Finn had the second most amount of screen time in this movie. Han had 20 minutes and 30 seconds.
I feel like that's still quite high though.
It
More
is.
than I thought.
Who has more screen time? Kylo Ren or Han Solo? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Han.
Wow, we
Who
are
did
2
you
for
say,
2. Congratulations.
Oh, did you say Han as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kylo Ren,
Cool. That was
19
tough.
minutes. Han, 20 minutes 30.
Yeah, it was pretty hard.
Who has more screen time? Poe Dameron or Chewbacca? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Chewie.
Oh,
Oh. Poe has 8 minutes and 45 seconds. Chewie has 8 minutes.
Oh,
that could be the side of the sea.
it could
Oh,
be the side of the series.
oh no, Poe Dameron, Chewie.
Who has more screen time? Leia Organa or Maz Kanata? 5, 4, 3, 2,
Please.
1.
Mars.
Who'd you say, Jack?
Leia. Please.
Mars has 4 minutes. What did you say, Mark?
Yeah, Mars Canada.
You said Mars and Jack said Leia. Leia has 6 minutes 15.
Oh no, it's over.
Damn, all right.
Oh, it's over.
I just
Not-
thought
not quite.
Yeah, Mars is only here for like the Mars like castle bit, so I thought hopefully that would be less.
Who has more screen time? Mars Kanata or General Hux? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Mars.
Oh,
Wait, did you
Really?
guys differ
Mars?
again?
Yeah.
Mars was high. Come on.
Mars had 4 minutes, as you know. Hux had 3 minutes
oh no,
45.
I'm just God.
Oh no, Mark. Come on.
So now the pressure is, Jack, can you get a perfect score?
Oh,
Because you're
God, yeah.
perfect so far.
He's already won, hasn't he? I can't win
I
this
feel like there
round.
wasn't
Yeah.
that many characters in this one though.
There
So.
wasn't. There's not.
Yeah, but
There's
Mark,
more. There's
technically,
more next week.
if I win this one and if Mark wins the next two,
Well,
what?
you've
It's a
already won,
draw.
so my best option is a tie for the whole series now.
Alright. Yeah. I think I'm on Mark. Give it a
Who,
tie.
who has more screen time, C3PO or Supreme Leader Snoke? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
C3PO.
Who'd you say, Jack?
C3.
C3PO, 1 minute 45. Supreme Leader Snoke, 2 minutes.
No! No! I didn't get perfect.
No.
No.
And the last one, who has more screen time? Unkar Plutt or R2D2? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Uncoupled.
However you pronounce it, yeah. Unka.
Unkar has I hate that name. 1 minute. R2D2, 1 minute 15.
No!
Oh my God.
No, I
Did-
shouldn't have done that. I should have left that on one.
Did I only get 2 right?
Yes.
Oh my Lord, that is horrendous.
That's probably Mark's worst performance, I think.
Mark,
I
you
think it
only got
is.
the first 2 right.
Oh my goodness.
Mark.
That's all right. That's all right.
That's
This
hilarious.
just goes to show about the sequels, doesn't it? Consider
definitely
my
have-
performance a performance of the sequels.
I was gonna say,
Oh,
I
God.
definitely have watched the sequels more than Mark. So
I watched it last night and I still only got 2 right.
yeah. I think overall, though, I probably rewatched it more though. The sequels,
Hmm.
just a little bit.
Okay. Scene change.
I have one.
Do you want to go first or do you
It's-
want me to go?
Yeah, I'll go. It's
Okay.
it's. I think there's a lot of, and once again, this movie I could probably pick a few, like quite a few of them, but I think the one that would have just made me more care about Kylo and Rey a bit more in terms of their character story is would have changed the scene where Rey beats Kylo and hits him. I would have had if you're gonna hit the ground parting because of the thing, I would have had the ground part like when they were blocking and then the ground kind of parted. So it kind of left it a bit hanging-ish. Because I don't like how or have Kylo win. It does not make sense that Rey won that. It does not make any sense. Because if the ground didn't
Agreed.
part, Rey would have killed him and then
Agree.
makes no sense. Get rid of that. It would have been a little bit better with the ending, in my opinion.
Yep.
You know?
All right, shall I go?
If you want, yep.
Other than almost a big chunk of the movie itself,
Mhm.
I would probably, this one might be controversial because I think it alters the character development of Kylo Ren quite a lot and maybe even in a negative way. But I
Right.
would not have him kill Han.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And honestly, I know it's for a terrible reason, but I think that's just because I just don't like it.
I reckon.
But
Yeah.
even like I said before, this wouldn't have made sense either. But what if Kylo Ren actually did go back to the light side and
This
went
one.
with Han Solo in that
You
scene?
know what? I was thinking about this. If he went light and then whole switcheroo, making you think he's going to be the main protagonist of the film, switches with Rey and Rey goes evil. So Rey's a antagonist in the end, and then Kylo's a protagonist. How bold would that have been? And
That
then
would have been really interesting.
That'd have been unreal.
That would have been pretty cool,
That'd have
actually.
been a
Yeah.
surprise I would have gotten. Like, because you know how they tried in Rise,
Ooh.
they tried to make it seem like Rey was going to turn evil in that trailer. Like that wasn't happening in the final one. Like, that,
Yeah, no.
you know what I mean? Like that was not. But if they did in this one, holy cow! Imagine like
I got
Rey
another one.
killed like someone by accident, turns evil. Kylo turns good. Oh, crazy.
I have one more.
Yep.
It's not as much a scene change as it is a character change. I would just have it that Finn becomes a Jedi.
Yeah, also true.
Yep. Okay. I also have a scene change and a scene addition. I'll start with the change. What change was the change? And this would completely alter the story of the whole sequel trilogy, and I'm interested to know what you think about it. Have R2D2 not have the entire map. Make the second movie be more of a scavenger hunt for
That would
the
be good,
map. and then have the third movie be, or maybe towards the end of the second movie, have Luke find Rey, and then have like a final battle in the third movie. I don't know.
You know
I
what? That
very
sounds
Lord of the
better
Rings.
than The Last Jedi.
Sounds very Lord of the Rings, like we were talking about.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking it sounds like Lord of
Make
the
it
Rings
journey.
when he
I
said
think
that.
I think that would have been better than what we got, probably in terms of more linear, like point to point. But
At least they
it would have been
knew
a
where they would have
lackluster
been going. Knew
titles. Yeah,
where they
but
were going if they did that.
I feel like it would have been a not powerful story though as a whole.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It would have been.
I agree.
Well,
I
then
agree.
it
Yeah.
depends on Luke at the end.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
depends on how they do the final movie. Like they would have had to make that like a return that when you watch it, Return of the King esque kind of, I think, Mark.
Mm.
Yeah.
But yeah,
My scene addition, and I'm interested to know what you think of this, and I've got reasons why I chose this one. I said, show General Hux retreating from Starkiller Base with Kylo
Yeah.
Ren.
Mm-hmm.
Not only would it build his character more, but I think the interactions and dialogue between him and Kylo as they leave
Yeah.
towards Snoke would like really build that tension between
Because
them.
Hux had to save him,
Yeah,
and Kylo likes to feel superior to him.
yeah.
true. That would have been
I
pretty
think that would be a really cool scene addition to. I don't think it would have made sense in the way the movie
Well,
was going, but
cool.
you see, I was thinking while watching it that Hux is ordered to go save him and get off the planet whilst it was already blowing up. So how did he have time? He didn't even know where Kylo was. So how did he have time to go there, pick him up, get him
I'm
off
gonna
the
say
planet
that Star
before it all
Wars
blew
does
up?
this all the time, even with the Death Star first one being blown up and stuff and everything. It just they always leave out the people running away and
Mm.
never show it. You just have to assume that they get away somehow.
yeah.
You know. But yeah, that's cool. I like that.
That was a
I
good one.
did not bring any questions prepared to finish off, but I do want to mention something, and I'm curious to see if you guys noticed this. In the credits, they went in the order of Harrison
Okay.
Ford first,
Mhm.
then Mark Hamill, then Carrie Fisher, then Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, Adam Driver, so on. They started with the
Legacy.
original three, even though Mark Hamill barely got any screen time,
Yeah, well,
and Leia
if
didn't either.
I get why they did that, but I would have put Carrie Fisher second.
I would
Yeah.
have as well, yeah.
Especially if you're going off screen time, it should be screen time. It should be legacy then screen time. So Mark's
guess so,
last that, you know, bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. But I don't have any question prepared this week. I'm sorry. I just
Make sure.
That's right. It was already quite a long episode.
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna say next week don't have questions either because I guess the
No.
questions you can ask during the actual.
Yeah.
I feel if you when you're still listening to this right now, guys, I think the structure we haven't discussed it, but I think a good structure would almost just be having plot topic talk about a topic thing, branch off our opinions about it, then just not like going a linear start to finish positive negatives. I think we just talk about
Yeah.
what we're doing,
I
discuss.
think we just talk about the movie and what we thought of it.
So next
Yep.
week might be a bit less structured, but it could be a bit more of a fun debating kind of
Yeah.
opinionated.
Be
structure.
prepared.
You might
Yeah,
enjoy
that's it.
We'll wait and see. Anyway, guys, that was
Yeah.
a great episode.
It was a
love
great episode. Good start to a good trilogy.
Interesting. I'm not going to say anything.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll catch you next week.
Thank
Catch you later,
you.
guys. Thank
See you
you.
later.
Bye.